Mentioned Cravon Gillespie is in this race, and I say he has something to prove because people were kind of talking about him being the anchor and wasn't able to close up on the Ghana guy. Cravon Gillespie did a 18-minute reaction video to the 4x1 where he kind of talked about the behind the scenes of what actually went down for Team USA when it came to preparing for this 4x1. And he gave some interesting tidbits. First thing he talked about was he basically confirmed the thoughts that we all had of why does USA not run as well, and we were thinking it's lack of practice. And he was like, "Yes, we did not practice." He
yes,
basically
we did not practice.
He spent like the first 8 minutes of the video. I suggest you guys all go watch it. Go to Cravon Gillespie's YouTube channel. He basically, for the first 8 minutes of the video, detailed like the schedule and talked about how, Kenny Bednarik and Noah Lyles were never going to be on the 4x1 for practice. If anything, they would be on the final, but they would have been on a final 4x1 with zero practice. Then they talked about how Bromell, Baker, and Curley never practiced for the 4x1 only until the 100 was done. So Gillespie and Micah Williams were the only ones practicing 4x1 exchanges because they didn't have individual events. So then once Curley and Bromell and Baker were added to practice time, they really only had 1 day of practice. And the original order that they thought they would have got changed because of Bromell exiting not making the final in the 100. So it made Bromell want to be in the prelim. So basically, the thought that I got out of this, they had no idea their order going into the Olympics. And I feel like every other country knows their order going into the Olympics, but they were letting the results of the Olympic finals and seeing what happens in the 200 dictate who runs the 4x1. And I remember going to Houston. Yeah. Houston knew the order of their 4x1 in March for the June race. They knew their March. In March, they knew the order of the 4x1 for their June final. That's how colleges work, right? They're like, we know you're the 4. We're going to get the order right. We're going to practice exchanges for 3 months and then put it together at the NCAA final. In USA, clearly, they're like, oh, no, we're going to have one practice. Well, 2 guys, well, only one of them is going to be in it. Like, Cravon Gillespie spent the entire week practicing, exchanging with Micah Williams, all for him not even be part of it and have him be an anchor, right? So it basically confirmed the idea that Team USA doesn't really prioritize the 4x1, which is why we have the situation that we get. And he said you can have 4, 9, 8 guys. You don't have good exchanges. You're not going to do well. So
I think the interchangeable parts thing and looking and waiting on the results, I think that's all well and good for the 4x4. I think the 4x1, with what we've seen the U.S. men do over the past 15, 20 years now, you could just say, let's just pick a squad and stick with it. If you have to roll with 4 10-0 to 10-05 guys, you still have enough talent to win. Just get the exchanges clean and live with that.
Yeah. And Gillespie even hinted that there have been like coaching changes last minute. The original coach got pulled. He didn't really go into details why, or
that's not good.
Political reason of the why or whatever. But their coach that they had changed last minute. It's like, what are we doing? Why are we changing the most important coach? You could argue we have an official coach, right, for Team USA. It was Mike Holloway, Coach Holloway. But like they're more of like just, more of an administrator, right? They're just like making sure, okay, you're good. Everyone has their own personal coach. And all the coaching really has been completed by the time you get to the Olympic Games. But the one coach that is most important than any other coach is the 4x1 coach, because that's actually coaching. That's actually teaching the athletes. This is what we're doing. You don't need to teach Galen Rupp how to drink a water bottle or change his hat in a marathon. You don't need to teach Brittany Reese how to prepare for her long jump competition. She already knows. She's ready to go. But you do need to teach 4 guys who don't train together, who probably have minimal words conversations with each other because they're
Yeah.
competitors, how to become one, So anyway, it was an interesting
Here's
watch.
here's what I
Watch it. It's
here's what
20
I
minutes long. Enjoy it over
here's
the
what I
lunch break.
think. Here's what I think. Before I said, hey, just take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, make them the relay team and be good with it because you have enough talent in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 4, 5, 6, 7. Excuse me. You don't want to do a 5x1. That'd be complicated. But you have enough talent in that next group to win. But if someone in that first 3 wants to do it and commits to the practices, then you should let them on. But I think
Yeah.
a week after the trials, when everything's calmed down, they should set the team and you should get commitment. And if you're the number one person and you don't want to do the practices, that's totally fine. But they'll put somebody else on the team. And the
Yeah.
team should be the same in the semis as it is going to be in the final. And they need to be okay with the fact that you may not get a commitment from everybody. And if you miss the practice and don't do what you're supposed to do, then you just do the next person up. We talked about Italy, runner up in world relays and now the world champions. Back in May, they had 75% of the team that they put out in Tokyo. The
And
United
here's the
States,
thing.
if they went to the world relays, would not have had 75% of the team. That would not have, 3 of those 4 guys would not have been on a world relays team in May. It just wouldn't have happened. Would not have happened.
And I tell you, if who finished 4, 5, 6, 7. So Kenny B, Cravon Gillespie, Michael Williams, and was Justin Gatlin 7?
Or was it?
I think it was Gatlin.
Yeah, I might have. I thought he
Okay.
pulled up
So
and got 8th.
if we say that's the
Lyles.
team, yeah. So if it was Lyles. Okay. So if we said it was Kenny B, Michael Williams, Cravon Gillespie, and Noah Lyles' team, that team clearly could have won. And we said that's the team. Romel, do you want to be on the team? If you want to be on the team, though, you're allowed. We'll kick Noah Lyles off the team if you want to be on it. But if you want to be on it, you need to do practice. Does he say yes to that agreement? Does he agree to do practice in exchange? Yeah, he'll say, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Would Ronnie Baker say yes? Yes, he would say yes.
Yeah.
Would Fred Curley say yes? Yes. Would Kenny B say yes? He'd be like, yeah, I know I got the 200, but yeah, I want to be on that team. Like, if you gave him the ultimatum, whether like we're allowing the athletes to not have to worry about practice, but if we say you either want being on the team requires the practice, we get it. You got the individual events. If you care about your individual events and you don't think you can do the practice, that's fine. Best of luck. We're going to cheer for you, but we got to go to the next person.
Yeah.
I guarantee
no
you
hard feelings.
we would end up.
No hard.
Yeah. I guarantee you.
No, it's fine.
Kenny B, Fred Curley, Ronnie Baker, and Bromell would have been the 4x1 in the prelim. And it's weird because Andre DeGrasse, he was in the prelim. And he just came off of winning the 200. So it's not like it was impossible. Like it's possible for these guys to do it. So
these guys come up running 3, 4 events in high school, in college, right? They can do it for the Olympics. I'm sure they're ready to. I just think everything's been way overcomplicated. It doesn't need to be this difficult. Do you want to do it or do you not want to do it? If you want to do it, you need to show up, do the practice, run the first round, run the second round. It's not like the 4x4. We're not going to wing it with the handoffs anymore. And if people don't want to do it, Travis, pull up the yearly list, sort by Americans, men, 100. All right? Let's look at how many. So if the first 8 don't want to do it, do you know what the U.S. has? We got, scroll down. Look at all these 10-0 people you could put. Keep going. We got 12 guys under 10. Keep going. We could put some
Terrence Laird on it.
Guys. Yeah, look at this. Look at all these. Keep going. You could put. You know who has guys that run this way? Italy, and they win. Yeah. You can build a team around 10-10 guys. That's my point. So if people don't want to do it, then just sub them in. You could totally win with one sub 9-9 guy, great passes from everybody else, and some 10-0 people. Or some high 9-9 people. This is Italy's list. You have Jacobs as the outlier. Then you have Tortu. Tortu's broken 10 before, but this year's a 10-10 guy. You have 3 guys who broke in 10-2 this year, and they won gold. The passes are important.
Yeah.
The passes
And
are
this isn't
important.
and this isn't on the athletes, right? Because the athletes are just doing what the coaches are allowing them to do. They're allowing them to focus 100% on their individual events. And if your coach says that's where you can prioritize, you're going to do it. It's on the
Yeah,
coaches to force their athletes to practice. And if the athlete says no, then it's on the
yeah.
coaches to be like, okay, are you sure? Because
You
if you say no, we're going to
so
replace you. And then if they still say no, that's fine. And we then win still more golds, right? More people. Yeah, so yeah,
well,
they need to change it.
well, listen. Anybody who's coached at any level knows sometimes you need to take a short-term loss for a longer-term gain. So maybe in the short, you need to say no, and you need to hold the line on this policy in the short term to let people know you're serious, so that the long term, then people will fully commit to it. Anthony in the chat says it's claimed that the agents of the athletes have a say in who runs. Yeah, and that's something Carl Lewis brought up when he did his Instagram live. Um, Basically trying to get people into the early rounds so that way you get a gold medal. Well, the agent shouldn't run the show. I'm sorry, they shouldn't.
Well,
The coaches should.
they want the bonus,
I
right? They probably get a percentage of their money. Like, oh, if my athlete has an extra medal,
Yeah,
therefore I get an extra little something something.
and that's great for them. I don't blame them for advocating for their athlete, but it's the other people's job to say we're going to do what's in the best interest of the team, and that's not it because it's clearly not working.
So I'm guessing that comment is basically hinting at maybe potential that Bromell, when he didn't make like they were planning on only to like, hey, if you make a final, you're in the final of the 4x1, and Bromell not making a final, Bromell was going to be taken off the final of the 4x1. So Bromell would have basically been kind of switched situation like Quinera Hayes, where it's like, crap, now I'm going to be replaced in the 4x1, and I'm going to go home with no medals. So they had to figure out a way. Hey, let's cut Bromell on the prelim. But what should have happened is Bromell should have just been on the team no matter what, and he should have done the practice. And there should have been no like contingency or off the team if you don't make an individual final. Like, no, you're on the team or you're off the team. The team is known on August 1st, and we just go. But yeah,
Yes, 100%. And well, no, before August 1st, team
before
needs
ours,
to be
yeah,
decided before you get
June 1st,
before you
yeah,
get on a plane. Well, July 1st, when the meet's over, and people are talking about
yeah.
there's no relay camp and they couldn't do it. I mean, they could have gotten people together stateside before they flew over. You could get people together before there's no rule that says you have to wait for relay practice until your individual event is over. That doesn't
Yeah.
exist, right? All right, back to pre. What else are you excited about?
Women's 800. Let's talk about that.